Koskov family has a history of activism, and Michael Koskov was a tremendous, who's the dad, who we just lost at age 77. He passed away a few months ago. Uh, had been an activist lawyer uh, his whole life. In fact, he defended Bobby Seale in a murder case that happened in New Haven, Connecticut. So he was a Panther lawyer. He was well known within the movement. His son Jacob is a screenwriter, and they long thought that this was a powerful story to tell because it is an origin story when you look at Thurgood Marshall. Also looking at the work of the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, which I want to come back to in a minute from personal experience. And I think the importance too, and again, I hope the audience gets that, it certainly speaks to me, of the alliance between the Black community and the Jewish community in the fight for social justice. And I mean this in a very real way. When I was arrested at 16, I actually joined the Black Panther Party when I was 15 years old. And at 16, I was arrested as part of a case that became known as the New York Panther 21 case. And it was a conspiracy case that accused us of wanting to plant bombs in department stores during the Easter holiday, botanical gardens. Apparently the Panthers not only were against depression, but didn't like roses in the spring. Just a bunch of charges. You know, this was a time when police raids were happening across the country in Panther offices. Frank Hogan was a district attorney and a very powerful man, probably as powerful as the mayor of New York City, in the same way that J. Edgar Hoover was as powerful, perhaps more powerful than the president of the United States. And Mr. Hogan was going to solve his Panther problem differently. He was going to use the courts. And so we were arrested and we were charged with conspiracy and weapons possession, and bail was set at $100,000. Now this is 1969. $100,000 is a lot today. $100,000 in 1969 was akin to a couple of $1 million. And when you look at who we were, people who joined the Black Panther Party were students, people coming from Vietnam, people getting out of prison, welfare moms, young activists. The average age of someone in the Black Panther Party was about 19 or 20 years old. My book is called Panther Baby because I was the youngest, but that's in relationship to people who are only a few years older. We were facing 367 years, truly illegal lynching. Who was the first person I saw after I was arrested and taken from bed in my grandmother's house to walk into a courtroom? William Kunstler and Gerald Lefcourt, Jewish activist attorneys. Who were the attorneys that defended the Panther 21, with the exception of Charles McKinney, who was a distinguished Black trial attorney, very experienced, very much in the mold of Thurgood Marshall. And we wanted to have Mr. McKinney there, but the rest of the defense team were Jewish attorneys. When you look at the civil rights movement, who marched side by side with Dr. King and with the civil rights workers, when you look at the kids who were on the bus during Freedom Summer, who were on the bus that was firebombed, when you look at Kent State, 3 of the 4 students who were killed were Jewish students. When you look at the civil rights workers who were killed in Mississippi, Goodman, Schwerner, and Cheney, 2 of them were Jews. That bond, and I think it comes through so powerfully and beautifully when in Thurgood you have the scene where both Thurgood and Sam are talking about the common bonds of oppression, the Holocaust and slavery, 2 of the greatest sins in history. We call it the African Holocaust in terms of all of the people that died from the Middle Passage to now and what happened, and the need to understand that we're struggling together. So something that I'll talk about just a little later is this united front against oppression, united front against fascism that the Panthers were actively engaged in building at the time they were attacked.